Actually, I was running into a challenge during a custom demo where I had to reuse existing elements for PDF documents. I'm a big fan of Designer, so what I did in here is I created my content in Designer actually. So I've got my Designer pie here. So that's the first element that I'm using. Quickly refresh my screen. Let's go to the workspaces. And there's actually my contents. I've got a bunch of content, so I created a little pie chart. You can actually look into my chart. Very simple chart. I got my little ring chart. It's an HTML5 format. I created the same one in Designer in PDF format, so it's an exact copy of the second chart, just in PDF format. So only difference here is the output format. And it seems to take a little while to open it up. Let me try again. So there's the same one in PDF output format, only difference. And I did the same thing in InfoAssist. So there's a PyIA and a PyIA in Designer. Exactly same thing, just built into two tools. So I can run them, of course. The Designer version of the Py and the IA version of the Py look exactly the same code, like it. So my challenge was using those in my portal, but the prospect wanted to be able to reuse the elements in PDF format. So because there's no PDF composer yet in Designer, which I think is a bigger project. So the idea was to use the existing tools like InfoAssist and AppStudio, or one of both, to build the documents. So I can build, of course, I can build a document in InfoAssist in here, continue to work, but let's start with my sample data. So that would be a great way to fill the current gap of Designer not being able to build a document. So I can insert and reference an existing report. I see only the InfoAssist elements. Designer is gone. And if I move to PDF as an output format, the only thing I see existing report is the PDF version of my InfoAssist chart. So I can link that chart. I can work with that one. So save my document. It's my document PDF. Keep that one. It's stored in my report folder. There's my document. We can open it up in text editor. Actually, the only thing it does is linking to that document. So if we move back to my page, there are all my documents, the ones we worked with. There's my Py Designer, my Py IA. So I can actually now go for the properties, go over to that one. So there's my Py in IA. I've got my element in here. So let's go and see the properties. So it's my Py IA. There's the file. That's the one in HTML. I can simply change that link to a link to the non-PDF version. It still creates a perfect document. So there's no good reason why we don't display both documents. So even the HTML5 works perfectly in my PDF document. Moving over to the designer version, my idea was to do the same thing in here. So there's my Pi in designer. One thing I've figured out, if I open it up in text editor, there's one thing that the composer doesn't like, because for some reason it's adding a component in here. So if I remove that single line here, save my Pi designer, move over here, we have our document. So my document, my Pi designer, looking at the properties. Here's my path. Here's my document. Sorry, wrong one. Here's my document. So remove that one and replace it with the Pi designer. Run it, and I get my element that was initially built in designer in here. So the only gap currently is that line here, that component line hurts, and I have to get it in here. That's the only two issues I have reusing my designer charts in InfoAssist document composer. So I think it's a relatively small issue, but it doesn't demo too well because you always have to worry about code. But you can use designer, but it's going to add that line again and again. So got that one. Close the document PDF, close my designer. There are my elements. So rid of that one. So we've got our elements in here. So that's the easy way to be able to create documents. Here's my document. Of course, I can move over here. It realizes that I changed it. It's not displaying too well in here, but it creates the document that is really needed in here. So at least it's a nice workaround for me to be able to build PDF documents in general. Same is true if I'm looking into AppStudio. So if I go to AppStudio and we go to asset reporting, we've got my reports folder. There are my elements. Let me quickly refresh it. So whatever I created in here in the asset reporting folder is going to be visible in here, but with the same issue. So creating new document PDF, keep it at default. Got my elements, add a chart, reference existing procedure. Same problem, I don't see all the charts because they are in HTML5 format and filtered out. So for a very short period, I'm just going to help myself selecting any chart that can be referenced. I'm going to save it to my folder. So it's going to be document AS. Close it. Here's my document AS. Open it up in text editor. Same logic in here, same logic that I had before. So I've got my hi designer, which is in here. Steal the path, replace it, run it, document working, save it, keep it. There's my document AS. Previewing the document for a little while. There we go. Run it. It creates my document. Even preview works, even it was a little slow. So I can reuse designer elements in PDF documents using the existing Composer Canvas tools available in Application Studio or in InfoAssist. The only challenge again is really those two things, the extra line plus the issue that I can't select it from that list.